DENYSENKO. Braedan Jason of Australia, his compatriot Templeton, and MRAK of Canada go in lanes 2 to 7 respectively. Confirmation of the World and Paralympic records. Iaroslav will go in the second heat of 2, the world record holder. Chufarov swims in a different classification and is the world record holder. He will swim in the second heat as well. But an S12 swimmer, Boki is 13 swimmer. Certainly Chufarov is the type of swimmer who can compete with the very best in any classification. S12 or 13. So the swimmers make their way out onto the pool deck. We've been waiting in the call room, the holding room. They've made their way out now for the very first event on day 5. This is the preliminary session, heats effectively. To post times that'll decide lane draws for the finals. The 8 fastest swimmers advancing. There's Devin GOTELL for a moment of Canada. This is CLEGG. Well, he comes from a family of successes. MRAK of Canada goes in 7. And Stephen CLEGG of Great Britain going in lane 3. His brother James and his sister Libby, both medalists 4 years ago in London in swimming and athletics respectively. This is Devin GOTELL. Swimmer to watch is Ukraine's Iaroslav DENYSENKO. He and his partner, already medalists at Rio 2016, a silver in the 200 IM for the Ukrainian. A sub 4-minute swimmer over this distance. Very good start in lane 5 for Braedan Jason, but the underwater of both Templeton and DENYSENKO is impressive as they break water. It is DENYSENKO who leads, and this is a race about settling into your rhythm, finding your rhythm in the early stages. It's 8 lengths of this Olympic pool at the Olympic Aquatic Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. It's a very confident early lead is being built up here by Iaroslav DENYSENKO, and he's been impressive on the turns. Gets a good push off the wall and shown that his underwater is solid, albeit a little sluggish off the starting blocks this time, but he has that to play with in the longer races.
Yes, he does, looking very comfortable, settling into a lovely rhythm, a lovely tempo at this early stage of the 400 metres free S13 classification, which also includes S12 athletes as we round through to the first 100 metres. Let's get a little check-in on the time there. And DENYSENKO touching in at that first 100 metres at 57.48 and slightly off the pace, 101.32 is Templeton from Australia, and touching in at third, CLEGG from Great Britain at 101.64.
Well, it's interesting to see how Templeton is going to be approaching this 400-metre race. It's not his favourite event. He is a little more of a sprinter, and somebody who's only been posting times around 4:18 coming into Rio 2016 over the 400 free. But DENYSENKO showing his class. He's the only sub 4-minute swimmer in this field for the first heat of 2 in the men's 400 freestyle, and is looking very, very much in control of this race. It is a very settled rhythm, a very smooth stroke, and he's not expending a great deal of energy as he just pulls himself through the water. A lovely glide around, but the battle between CLEGG, Jason and Templeton in lanes 3, 5 and 6 is all very level. The two Australians swimming side by side, Jason and Templeton in lanes 5 and 6. Templeton might just be a shade ahead, but at the turn, who's got the quicker of the turns? It's Templeton by a shade, 0.606 of a second, so 0.06 of a second separating the two Australians as CLEGG falls off the pace now. It's still DENYSENKO in firm control of this 400 free.
So the Australians about 6 seconds off the pace of DENYSENKO at the moment, who you'd have to say just looks more and more comfortable as the laps progress, and obviously with the swimmers that don't prefer the longer distance, sometimes the temptation is to go out a little hard, particularly when you see a strong swimmer really leading the way. You want to stay in touch with that lead, but it looks as though these Australians are staying reasonably relaxed. Just notice a little quickening of the tempo for Templeton there, starting to roll the arms through just a little quicker, but Denisenko, let's check in with him at the 300-metre mark. He just is looking so comfortable, so strong, really laying down the gauntlet for the rest of the competition to follow. 3:02.67 is what he's touched in, and it looks as though Jason from Australia has just quickened the pace a little.
Well, he has. It was Templeton who quickened the stroke rate, but it was Jason who quickened the pace. So Jason is proving to be a little more effective in the pool currently, but it is Denisenko who is still very much in command of this 400 freestyle, and with just over 50 meters to go, it is Denisenko who's going to turn first at the 3:50 mark. He's well off world record pace, but he knows that he does not need to expend a great deal of energy in this 400 free. All he needs to do is comfortably swim inside himself and within his range, and leave the energy for the final. It's heats in the morning and finals in the evening, local time in Rio de Janeiro. So final session follows on the same day of competition as the heat session, and Denisenko is going to touch first in this heat, just over the 4-minute mark, a 4:05.03 for Iaroslav Denisenko, and the silver medalist in the 200 IM is laid down a decent marker in the first of the heats of the 400 free. It is Australia's Jason who touches second fastest, with Templeton touching on third, and CLEGG will come home fourth fastest. It'll now come down to times to see who advances. GOTELL of Canada touches next, while last to make his way to the wall, MRAK still in the water, and coming in for the finish, the 18-year-old Canadian swimming from the outside lane.
Yes, so the Canadian coming in, finally rounding out the field. A reminder that it is, yes, the top 8 times that will go through to the final in the second session on day 5 of the swimming here at the Olympic Aquatics Stadium.
So Denisenko, the victor in the opening heat of this men's 400 free S13. He'll take confidence from that swim. He'll know that he's got plenty left in reserve for the final, where he will no doubt have his work cut out for him by the star of the show and the man who won gold in this event back in London 4 years ago, Iaroslav of Belarus.
Yeah, so I'll wait now for those who finished further back in Heat 1.
Well, it was a good start from Denisenko, used that underwater nicely. Very quick reaction time from Templeton off the starting blocks. But it was Denisenko who only needed a couple of strokes to get into his rhythm. Once he found that tempo in the pool, it was virtually unstoppable. It is Denisenko then who touches ahead of the 2 Australians.